I was 15 when my sister Emma vanished. She was 17, funny, stubborn. The kind of girl who always triple-knotted her laces and refused to say goodbye without a hug. On May 11, 2005, she texted me from the train station. "Just got here. You're 5 minutes late, loser. I'll wait at platform 4. I texted back, "On my way. Don't leave." She never replied. The CCTV footage glitched. One frame, she's there, blue hoodie, messy ponytail, earphones in. The next frame, gone. Like someone edited her out. For 12 years, my family tried to survive in silence. My mother never changed her bedroom sheets again. My father left his job and eventually our home. And me? I stopped checking the mail. I deleted every message she ever sent me, except that last one. Then, last Monday, a thick white envelope arrived at my apartment. No return address. No note inside. Just a photograph. A photo taken at a tourist market in upstate New York, timestamp 2 days ago. In the crowd, blurry faces. People holding cotton candy, wearing sunglasses. But in the corner, partially turned toward the camera, Emma. Same hoodie. Same ponytail. Same face. She hadn't aged a day. I stared at the photo for hours, flipping it over, zooming in. I called the tourist bureau to confirm the event date. It matched the metadata. I even tried calling my dad, but he didn't answer. Mom did, though. When I told her, she didn't cry. She just whispered, "I always knew she wasn't dead." I asked if she wanted to see the photo. She said no. That's when I realized something deeper was going on. Something I was never told. Because if my sister really had been found, why did my mom sound afraid? The photo burned in my hand, but I couldn't look away. I'd spent the last 12 years telling myself Emma was gone. That whatever happened that day in 2005 was final. But now, here she was in crisp, undeniable color. Not just some vague look-alike. Not a blurry shape someone thought looked like her. It was Emma. Same dimple on her left cheek. Same blue hoodie with a frayed sleeve she always tugged on when nervous. Same expression, half smile, half daydream. Like she didn't belong to the world around her. I turned the photo over again. Nothing. Just a smooth matte finish. But I knew that market. It was Graywood Commons, a rundown street market near Albany. I recognized the murals in the background. I'd been there once during college. It shut down 3 years ago. So how the hell was this photo dated 2 days ago? I sat there for another hour, just staring at her. Then I grabbed my jacket and keys. I didn't go to the police. Not yet. Instead, I drove straight to my mom's place. The same 2-bedroom house we'd lived in since 2002. She never sold it. Sighed she couldn't leave in case Emma came back. Her hair had gone completely gray, but she still wore her robe, tied too tightly and always kept. The living room light off, as if the darkness would soften the truth. When she opened the door, her face went pale. Not with shock, with recognition. "You saw it," she said. "You knew it would come?" She stepped back and let me in. I didn't know when, but yes. I expected something eventually. I held out the photo. "Why didn't you want to see it?" She took it like it might cut her fingers. Studied it for 3 seconds. Then handed it back. "That's her," she whispered. "She's the same. Exactly the same." "Yes." She didn't grow up. No. My pulse pounded in my ears. Then where has she been, Mom? She looked toward the hallway. At the door that had been Emma's bedroom for 17 years, still closed like a sealed time capsule. You wouldn't believe me. Try me. She took a slow breath. Do you remember when your father left? Of course. He moved out 2 years after Emma vanished. She nodded. He told you he got a job out west. Didn't he? No. She paused. He got a letter. Just like yours. A photo. My breath hitched. He told me she was still alive. That someone was keeping her from us. For a reason. He said if he looked into it, he might not come back. And he went anyway. I snapped. She blinked away tears. He loved her, Josh, just like you. He had to know. So why didn't he tell me? Because it wasn't safe. I stood. My heart was a furnace now. You both lied to me for 12 years. We were trying to protect you. From what? And then she said something that chilled my spine. From the people who took her. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her, Emma, frozen in that photograph, staring out from the edge of a forgotten street fair like she'd been waiting, like she knew someone would find her, me. But Mom's words wouldn't leave me alone. From the people who took her, not person, not some random man in a van. She said people. I didn't press her for more. Her hands had started trembling after she said it, like even speaking the truth invited danger. I left before midnight, her front porch light flickering like a dying signal. I knew what I had to do. The next morning, I drove upstate to the old Graywood Commons fairground. It was 3 hours from the city. My phone buzzed with work emails I ignored. I hadn't called anyone. I didn't want help, not yet. When I arrived, I parked near the back where weeds had burst through cracked pavement. The place was completely shut down. Rusted fences, faded banners from old harvest festivals. A few broken-down kiosks still stood like ghosts of their former selves. One covered in pigeon droppings. Another still stocked with melted candle wax and dusty string lights. But I recognized the mural from the photo. It was still there, a giant sunflower on a brick wall, peeled in the middle like someone tried to scrape off its smile. That was where Emma stood in the picture. I stepped forward, heart pounding, phone ready. I scanned the area. No sign of her. No crowds. Just wind and the sound of an old soda can scraping across concrete. But something wasn't right. On the wall beside the mural, someone had scrawled in red spray paint. Still here. It wasn't there in the original photo. I snapped a picture. Then another. Then I noticed something tucked behind a loose brick in the wall. It was a folded piece of paper. I hesitated, then pulled it free. It was a photo, another one. This time it was blurry, almost too dark to see. But in it, I was there. It was me, standing at the Graywood mural, taken from a distance, taken today. I spun around. No one. My chest tightened. My legs almost gave out. Someone had been watching me. I called Dad. First time in 5 years. Voicemail. Dad, I don't know where you are or if you'll even get this, but I saw her, Emma, and I think you were right about everything. If you know something, please call me. I didn't hang up. I let the silence fill the line. It felt like I was talking to a ghost. When I finally hit end, a text came in immediately. No name, just a number I didn't recognize. "You're not supposed to be there, Josh." Things Dad never told me. The anonymous text rattled around in my head the entire drive home. "You're not supposed to be there, Josh." It wasn't a threat. It felt like a warning. A tired voice saying, "You don't understand what you're walking into." I tried calling the number back. It went straight to voicemail. Blocked. Back in my apartment, I went straight to the storage bins. I hadn't touched in years. The ones full of my dad's old things from when he moved out. My mom never threw anything away. She packed his office up like a museum. And when I moved out at 20, she sent it all with me. I hadn't opened those boxes since. Inside, folders, letters, dusty notebooks, and a few of his favorite records. One thick envelope stood out, labeled in Dad's handwriting. "Do not open unless you believe me." I tore it open with shaking hands. Inside was a photocopy of a train. Manifest from May 11th, 2005, the day Emma vanished. Her name was there. Seat assigned. Ticket paid in full. Then stapled behind it, another manifest. Same date, same train. But this time, her name was missing. Different versions of the same record. How? Tucked in with them was a wrinkled sticky note with a number and a single name. Marianne Eldridge, Grayleaf Institute. I didn't recognize the name or the place. A quick Google search revealed the Grayleaf Institute had been a private boarding school back in the 80s. Then a residential rehab facility in the 90s, shut down after a scandal in 2004. The same year Emma started acting. Strange. I remembered it then. A conversation I hadn't thought about in over a decade. It was late 2004. I had come into Emma's room to borrow her headphones. She slammed her laptop shut when I entered. Said she was doing a school project. She was shaking. Not like she was scared, more like she was ashamed. I only caught one line before she shut her door. "I can't do this anymore. I never asked to be part of this family." At the time, I thought it was typical teenage drama. But now, it felt like something else. I searched the Grayleaf Institute online archives. One article caught my eye. Whistleblower. Institute used teens in illegal psychological research programs before shutdown. Case buried after anonymous donors bought the property. The date of the article? May 10th, 2005. The day before Emma disappeared. My stomach turned. What the hell had Emma been involved in? Why had my father been tracking this? And why was her name erased from official train records? Then my phone buzzed again. Another text. Same number as before. "You opened the box." Then a second message followed. "That's how they find you. The secret under the oven." I reached Mom's house just after 2 a.m. She was asleep, lights off, porch dim. I didn't knock. I still had a key. The same one I'd used all my teenage years. The kitchen floor creaked under my steps like it remembered me. The oven was the old kind, white enamel, chipped edges, still making that faint clicking noise like it was trying to light itself. I crouched beside it, heart pounding, and reached underneath. Dust, old crumbs, a dead battery. Then my fingers scraped against metal. A small rectangular tin like a cookie box but heavier. I pulled it out and placed it on the table. No label. No lock. I opened it. Inside was a folded manila envelope thick with documents. Taped to the top was a Polaroid photo. Emma, but not as I remembered her. She was in her 20s now. Hair longer, darker. Her eyes, tired. She wore the same blue hoodie, but it looked like a uniform now, like something she hadn't taken off in years. And beside her, my father. They were seated at a metal table, a thin pane of glass behind them, like an interview room. I flipped the photo over, in Mom's handwriting. If you're reading this, then your father didn't make it back. My breath caught. I pulled out the envelope. The first document was a letter. Josh, if you found this, it means I'm either dead or too far gone to come home. Either way, I owe you the truth. Emma didn't just disappear. She was taken. Not by strangers. By our own blood. Before you were born, your mother's family was tied to a private organization. They called it a think tank. A human development experiment. In reality, it was a psychological testing program funded, off the books by government leftovers from Cold War paranoia. Your mother's uncle, Henry Maddox, was a senior lead. When the project was shut down in the late 80s, parts of it went dark, underground. But they kept watching families they had history with, families like ours. Emma was the perfect candidate, brilliant, resilient, emotionally unpredictable. They wanted to study trauma response over time. She wasn't kidnapped. She was selected. And we signed it. Buried in your mother's hospital paperwork, during Emma's birth was a conditional consent form. We had no idea what it really meant, but they used it. On May 11, 2005, they pulled her out of that station and wiped the evidence. They erased her from the manifest, the security tapes, everything. When I found out, I left to get her back. I got close, too close. They let me see her once, long enough to know she remembered me, long enough to promise I'd come back. But if you're reading this, I didn't. I dropped the page. My ears rang. My mouth went dry. My mom knew. Dad tried to stop it. And Emma had been alive this entire time, trapped, studied, manipulated by people connected to our family. I looked at the last page. A map, hand-drawn, with one name scrawled at the top. Hollow Pines, Building 7, Unit 3 AM. And beneath it, they move her every few months. But if the photo reached you, she might still be there. Hollow Pines. It took me 2 days to find Hollow Pines. It wasn't on any map. Not under that name, anyway. But using the coordinates from Dad's sketch and a few online forums about abandoned facilities in upstate New York, I pinpointed it, a series of derelict medical buildings, hidden behind state forest lines, listed on old records as a private retreat center. That closed down in the early 90s. Building 7, Unit 3A. That's where she might be. I didn't tell Mom I was going. She wouldn't have let me. She'd seen what chasing Emma had done to Dad. But I couldn't let this go. Not after seeing her face. Not after learning what they did to her. I arrived just before sunset. The dirt path was blocked by a rusted-out gate with a nitrogen monoxide trespassing private land sign barely hanging on one hook. Vines had wrapped around the barbed wire fence. like nature was trying to protect what humanity had abandoned. I climbed over anyway. The buildings were tall, pale brick monsters. Some had windows sealed with steel plates. Others were half swallowed by trees. Wind screamed through broken door frames. It didn't feel haunted. It felt erased. Deliberately. I made my way to Building 7. The door was chained, but the back window had a crack wide enough to slide through. Inside, it smelled like time had stopped. Dust thick as snow. Flickering fluorescence buzzing like dying insects. Stained floors. Walls with peeling paint and faint numbers. I followed the map. Down a hallway. Past 3 rusted doors. Until I reached Unit 3I. It was unlocked. Inside, the air shifted. The room was surprisingly clean. The walls freshly painted. A bed with a white blanket. A chair. A lamp. And on the far side, a girl sitting quietly, facing the wall. Long dark hair. Blue hoodie. My voice caught in my throat. Emma? She didn't turn. I stepped closer. My heart cracked open. It was her. Older now, but unmistakable. Same eyes, same posture. Her shoulders jerked slightly at the sound of my voice. Josh? She whispered. I ran to her, tears blinding me. She turned slowly and smiled. But it was hollow, faint, like someone had erased. The real Emma and only kept the outline. I knew you'd come, she said. I grabbed her hands. Emma Jesus, I thought you were gone. They told me you'd forget, she said softly. That no one would come. What they did to her. She stared at me for a long time. Her eyes scanned my face like she was memorizing it, as if she didn't trust I was real. I tried to pull her into a hug, but she flinched. Emma, I stepped back, hands raised. It's me. You're safe now. I don't know what that word means anymore, she whispered. There was no emotion in her voice. It was calm, clinical, like she had trained herself to sound like she didn't care, just to survive. What did they do to you? I asked. She looked away. It wasn't what they did. It's what they made me do. She began telling the story in pieces. After she vanished from the train station, she woke up in a medical room underground. No windows. Dim lights. White noise always humming in the walls. They never told her where she was, only that her family had agreed to let her participate in an advanced cognitive resilience program. She screamed, cried, refused to eat. For 3 days, they ignored her. On the 4th, they showed her photos of us, me, Mom, and Dad, told her we knew where she was, that we chose not to visit, that this was her destiny. I didn't believe them, she said. At first, she said they ran memory drills, psychological tests, sleep studies, forced her to watch videos of simulated disasters, family deaths, emotional manipulation. They tested her reaction time, her pain tolerance, her breakdown threshold. And every time she broke, they reset her. They told me I wasn't Emma anymore, she whispered, that I was just the subject of a study. Her hands trembled as she spoke. They made me forget who I was, then brought it back, over and over. I didn't know what was real anymore, until she looked at me then, her voice finally cracking. Until Dad came. My breath stopped. He found me, she said. I don't know how, but they let him visit. Just once. To see what they'd done. Her face folded like glass shattering. He cried the whole time. I wiped my eyes. What did he say? She swallowed hard. He said he was sorry. That he never meant for this. That it was their deal, not his. Whose deal? She hesitated. Her lips quivered. Mom's family. That hit like ice water. Wait, Mom? Emma nodded slowly. She knew. Not the full extent, but she signed something when I was born. They came back to collect when I turned 17. A wave of nausea hit me. My mind replayed all the times Mom had insisted Emma would come back. All the times she refused to talk about the investigation. She wasn't in denial. She was protecting herself. She thought I'd be sent to some school, Emma continued. A gifted program. Not this. I covered my mouth. So Dad, he tried to bring you back? Emma nodded. He threatened to go public. Said he'd tell the world. They gave him a choice. Leave quietly. Or they'd make sure both of us disappeared. And he left? No, she whispered. They lied. He tried to get me out the next day. I stared at her. What happened? They caught him. Her voice trembled. And I never saw him again. 12 years too late. Emma didn't want to leave Hollow Pines at first. I thought she'd come running. Thought she'd jump into my arms and we'd walk out of that place like the last 12 years had never happened. But that's not how healing works. Especially not when your family traded you away. We stayed in that small room in silence for almost half an hour after she told me about Dad, about how they took him away, how they made sure no one ever found out. No obituary, no missing persons report, nothing. Just gone. The only trace of him left was me. And now her. I asked her if she was ready to leave. She stared at the door for a long time, then back at me. If I leave, they'll come after you too. I don't care, I said without blinking. She tilted her head slightly, like she was studying me. You're just like him. That broke me. We waited until midnight. Then we slipped out the back through the broken window I'd come in from. She wore my coat. I held her hand the entire way. She flinched every time a bird rustled in the trees. We didn't talk. We just walked. And that night, for the first time in 12 years, we both saw the stars. Getting her out was only the beginning. The days that followed were chaos. I hid her at my place, got her burner phones, burned every document my father left behind after I memorized it, changed both our names on every social platform. We were ghosts, together. She didn't speak much the first week. She stayed in my guest room, staring out the window, eating only when I reminded her. She hated loud noises, avoided mirrors, jumped whenever she heard phones ring. But slowly, she started asking questions again. One night she whispered, "Do you think Mom knew what would happen?" And I didn't know what to say. Because the truth? I think she did. Emma didn't want revenge. She didn't want headlines or documentaries or lawsuits. She just wanted to exist again. To choose her own food. To sleep in a bed that didn't buzz with fluorescent lights. To cry without being studied. To remember who she was without them rewriting the narrative. We started small. She picked out a new hoodie, dyed her hair, chose her own name on a coffee cup, something she hadn't done since 2005. She smiled for the first time in weeks. I cried in the car after. If this story gave you chills, if it made you think of someone who vanished without a trace, or someone you still hold on to even when the world tells you to forget, then please leave a like, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more real, raw, and emotional stories that stay with you long after the screen fades to black. Because some people disappear, but the truth always finds a way back. We'll see you in the next one.